Today we'll be finishing my workbook called The Commandments and Laws of God, and this covers Exodus 20 through 24. Looking at the table of contents, we have 2 pages to the table of contents. We started first with the 10 commandments that were said verbally to the people. This is not where the stone tablets are. These are stated verbally to the people. The people were so afraid from hearing God's voice and seeing the trembling of the mountain and everything that in chapter 2, they tell Moses, you speak to God, we will listen to you. And you speak to God, and we don't want to hear from God directly. So Moses goes up on the mountain, and he's now given the various other laws that God gives in order for them to live the way he would like them to live. So all these are chapters on the various laws. Then on the next page, we already finished where an angel will lead them to the promised land. And we talked about that angel as being a very significant angel, probably even a Christophany, which is Christ showing up in the Old Testament, because the angel has some unique qualities that doesn't seem like a normal angel would have. But then we get to chapter 11, which is where we are. So let's go there. Chapter 11, Reconfirming the Covenant, Exodus 24, 1 through 18. Exodus 24, 1. So the Lord said to Moses, come up to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. You are to worship at a distance, but Moses alone is to approach the Lord. The others must not come near. The people may not come up with him. Aaron is Moses' brother. See the verses from Exodus below. How much older is Aaron to his brother? Exodus 6:23. Aaron married Elisheba, daughter of Abinadab and sister Nashon, and he bore him Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Thalamar. Exodus 7:7. Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. Okay, so they're 3 years older. Nadab and Abihu are Aaron's 2 older sons. Looking at Exodus below, he had 2 more. What are their names? Eleazar and Ithamar. And who is Aaron married to? Elisheba. Interesting note, by marrying Aaron, Elisheba unites the tribe of Judah with the tribe of Levi, because not only a direct ancestor of Jesus Christ, but also John the Baptist. Her brother is an important leader of the tribe of Judah. That's interesting. We always see them as separate, but they happen to mix the tribe here. How many elders are to come up with Moses and Aaron? 70. On the mountain, the group is separate. Who will get closest to God? Moses. Exodus 24:3. When Moses went and told the people all the God's words and laws, they responded with one voice. Everything the Lord has said, we will do. Moses then wrote down everything the Lord had said. Then Moses goes down to the mountain again, this time to tell the people who did not want to hear from the Lord directly what God had told them to do. Looking at page 3 is this descent from his first, second, or third ascent into the mountain. So we're going to look at page 3 real quick. Page 3. I believe this is the third ascent, but I want to make sure. Yeah. So this is the third ascent. Remember, he's going to go up 4 times. And I knew that there was one after this for sure, because he doesn't have the tablets, which we know happens when he goes up on the mountain. So this is his third ascent. If you remember, the first ascent, God basically told him all the things that had happened already, and then told the people to be prepared. And then first of all, he said, all the things I've done for you is in the first ascent. And then he was to go back and summon the elders of the people and set before them all the words that God had said. And the people said, yes, we will do everything the Lord had said. So Moses goes back on the second ascent to now find his directions and tell the people to get consecrated because the Lord is going to speak to them rather. And so they get consecrated, 3 days of washing their clothes and getting ready. Then he speaks to the people and gives them the 10 commandments. And then God, then the people, as I said, are afraid of God. And so they tell Moses, no, you only speak to God. So in his third descent is when he gets all the laws. And then he's now down from that. So let's move that down here. Am I here? No, I'm here, right? Yeah. It's a third descent. Um, um, right. This is the third descent. He's over 80 years of age, remember? Because he was 80 when he spoke to the Pharaoh. What did Moses tell the people? All the God's words and laws. So he basically gave them all the laws that we just talked about. A commentator's account was 52 laws written in Exodus 21 through 23. The laws of God will eventually graduate to 613 laws the Israelites see in the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible that they have to live by. Did the people agree to all these laws? Yes, they did. Most of these will not even become valid until they reach the promised land. This has to be a verbal summary because they will hear it again and agree to it when Moses reads these in detail later in Deuteronomy, I suppose. Did Moses write everything down before or after he told the people? After he told the people. Pretty good memory for an over an 80-year-old. This compilation will later be called the Book of the Covenant. Why did the people agree in unison? Was it due to the fear of the Lord, or was it because most were not in effect until the future? Because later they will fail in keeping this promise. This is an opinion. So agree in unison, probably because the whole effect is just awesome to them. And it's easy to agree at that point. It's harder to live something out. That's my opinion. Exodus 24:4. He got up early the next morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and set up 12 stone pillars representing the 12 tribes of Israel. Then he sent young Israelite men, and they offered burnt offerings and sacrificed young bulls as a fellowship offering to the Lord. Moses took half of the blood and put it in the bowls, and the other half he splashed against the altar. This major sacrifice is a ramification of the covenant between the people and God. Early the next morning, Moses builds an altar of 12 stone pillars. What do the pillars represent? Representing the 12 tribes of Israel. Who did he use to do the sacrifices and offerings? Sent young Israelite men to do them, which makes sense. He is kind of old. So there'll be 12 or multiples of 12 young men. What types of offerings were made? Burnt and offerings and fellowship offerings. How did Moses split the blood of the offerings? He took half of the blood and put it in the bowls, and the other half he splashed against the altar. Note, a formal definition of these offerings would not happen until Leviticus. A burnt offering is a form of sacrifice as a tribute to God. Burnt offering was entirely burnt on the altar. So whatever offering you put there, the whole thing gets burned up. Fellowship offering. This offering, also known as a peace offering, was used to symbolize a fellowship with God. Okay. Exodus 24:7. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it to the people. They responded, "We will do everything the Lord has said. We will obey." Moses then took the blood, sprinkled it on the people, and said, "This is the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words." Now, in a formal setting, Moses retells the law. Although the scripture says book, it was really what? A scroll. This book of the covenant would probably have both the laws and the commandments. Did the people agree again to obey everything the Lord said to do? Yes, they did. After they made the commitment, then Moses takes the blood from the bowls and does with it. He sprinkles it over the people. Jesus uses the same word, blood of the covenant, in Mark 14 below. Are there similarities? If so, what are they? Mark 14, 23, 24. Then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank from it. This is the blood of my covenant, which is poured out for many, he said to them. So yes, it's very similar. His blood is going to be poured out for many. The blood, the sacrifice would cover all the people. So it's very similar. It's the blood of the covenant. Exodus 24:9. Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 elders of Israel went up and saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was something like a pavement made of lapis lazuli, lapis lazuli, as bright blue as the sky. But God did not raise his hand against these leaders of Israelites. They saw God, they ate and drank. This is definitely a Christophany, which is appearance of God before his human birth. Who went up on the mountain? Moses, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 elders of Israel. The question is, why 70? Why not 72 that's divisible by 12? Realize Aaron and Moses are elders of the tribe of Levi, so that makes 72. Make sense? Who did they see? They saw they saw, in essence, God. Why do we know this is a Christophany? Because only a few verses later, God will tell Moses that no one can see him and live. Therefore, this is a part of God that can be seen. What was the ground under the feet of God of Israel like? It was like pavement made of lapis lazuli. It is interesting that we don't have a description of what God looks like here. Many believe the elders immediately fell prostrate on the ground, so his feet are all they saw. When they saw God, did they die? No. What did they do after they saw the God of Israel? They ate and drank. Exodus 24:15. When Moses went up on the mountain, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai. For 6 days the cloud covered the mountain, and on the seventh day the Lord called to Moses from within the cloud. To the Israelites, the glory of the Lord looked like a consuming fire on top of the mountain. Then Moses entered the cloud, and he went up on the mountain, and he stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. When Moses and Joshua went further up the mountain, what did God do? Um, the, the cloud covered it. However, Joshua and Moses had to wait how long before Moses could go further? Until the cloud came away. So about 7 days. What did the people on the ground see? The glory of the Lord looked like a consuming fire on top of the mountain. Although it doesn't say, Moses alone entered the cloud. How long is he going to stay inside the cloud? 40 days and 40 nights. Do you think Joshua stayed on the mountain all this time? The elders, Aaron, and his sons? Why? Now, the reason why I say Joshua is, and we're going to find out later that Joshua is there. We didn't see it in these scriptures. I think Joshua did stay. I don't know that the elders, Aaron and his sons, continue to stay those 40 days and 40 nights. I think that they went back down to the people. And this then is going to be the last of this book and the last of the chapter. And the next book has not been written yet. I anticipate writing that in 2025. I write about 4 books a year. And so I anticipate writing that in 2025. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.